All right, everybody, listen up. I am here to tell you why the Atlanta Falcons stole the NFL trade deadline. And I know what you're thinking. What does that even mean? What are you talking about? The Falcons didn't even make a move at the trade deadline, and that's why I'm sitting here to tell you that's why they won it. All right, look, don't get me wrong. There were some great moves made at the trade deadline or before it. I think the Chiefs getting DeAndre Hopkins is a great move. I think the Detroit Lions getting Zadarius Smith is a great move. I think the Washington Commanders landing a top-notch corner is a great move. But that worked for those teams. I'm here to tell you why exactly the Atlanta Falcons did what they should do for the Atlanta Falcons. It is important to remember, it is very important to remember that the Atlanta Falcons already went out and got stuff that they needed. They already figured it out. All right, they went out and they got players earlier on when they weren't maybe as expensive or not paying a premium, and they got to integrate them into their system early. So the trade deadline or the late signing period happened early for the Atlanta Falcons. So let's take a look at what their resources are, and let's go ahead and have a conversation about what would have happened if they went for someone else. So let's start with what they needed to do, which some people said they needed another rusher. We know that they have not been getting pressure on the quarterback. By the way, that changed against the Cowboys. They did get pressure on the quarterback. So maybe you go after a guy like Zadarius Smith. Great. Here's the problem. When you look at your team and their draft picks, you have a first-round pick next year. You have a second-round pick. That's great. You don't have a third. All right? You have a fourth and you have a fifth. You don't have a sixth. So you have a 1, a 2, a 4, a 5, and a 7. That round 7 is from the Eagles. Okay? So it's very interesting how, and there's another way you can look at it here. Atlanta Falcons draft picks in 2025. I'm not sure these are perfectly accurate, but round 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, which is exactly what I was just saying. So Zadarius Smith to the Detroit Lions. The Lions gave up a 5th and a 6th and got a 7th back. Okay? That means that the Lions offered a 5th and the Browns said no, they wanted a 4th. But so the Lions said, all right, we'll give you a 6th. And then the Browns said, all right, what about a 5th and a 6th? And the Lions said, no, if you give us a 7th, we'll do it a 5th and a 6th. So what that would have costed the Falcons was probably a 4th-round pick, most likely, or a 5th and a 7th round pick. So if they did the 5th and the 7th, they would be left with a round 1, a round 2, and a round 4. If they had gotten rid of a 4th-round pick, they would have been left with round 1, round 2, round 5, and round 7. Is that something you want to see in Atlanta with a team that is absolutely in full control of the NFC South? A team that is playing better and better seemingly every week. A team that when you look at PFF, take a look at this. You are, like I said, a 6-3 record. You are 8th in the NFL in points scored. You are 22nd in points allowed. But PFF likes you. They say you're the 6th best team based on doing your job and playing well. You have the 3rd best offense. You have the 14th best defense, which means that this point scored could get even better, which means that these points allowed could get even better. And that's what we are seeing out of this team. We are seeing this team get better every single week. We are seeing Kirk Cousins go from, oh, is he recovered from his injury, to, man, the dude looks comfortable, to, oh my goodness, he is throwing touchdowns like crazy. Get him on my fantasy team. Like, that's what we've seen him go to. We have seen this Atlanta Falcons defense get better. We have seen them start to put the clamps down. We know Bates and Simmons are in the back end. And there's another player that I think we need to talk about. All right, and another reason your draft picks next year are so important. All right, Justin Simmons is 30 years old. He simply is not playing as well as he did last year. You signed him to a $11 million deal. Here's the problem. Your cap hit this year is 4.3. Your cap hit is a dead void money next year and the year after that. So you'll be paying him not to even play here. Sorry, this is, Justin Simmons. My bad. I said $11 million. It's $7.5 million. I was like, those numbers don't add up. All right, so you're paying him to do that. But here's the thing. He's not going to be on your team most likely. You might bring him back another year at like $5 or $6 million, but you need a draft pick to help fill the void behind him. What about the other guy you got in a trade? All right, I'm not saying you got Simmons in a trade. I know you didn't. You went out and you got Matthew Judon. Matthew Judon is 32 years old, and he's showing his age while playing for you. Now, don't get me wrong, your cap hit for him this year is not that much. It's only $6.7 million, and you don't owe him anything after this year. Anything he's owed is on the Patriots. But he's not on the roster, and he is a guy that was looking for a much larger salary, or at least a salary extension. So when I look at the Atlanta Falcons, what I see is a team that is ready to compete right now. What I see is a team that is getting better right now. I see a team that has the potential to get there. All right, Matthew Judon is playing terrible. If we're being honest about it, he's not playing well. He just isn't. All right, when you look at his stats in comparison to other years, whether you look at PFF grades, whether you look at pressure rate, all that kind of stuff, it's simply not there this year. It's just not there. All right, last year in 184 snaps, 184, he got hurt. He had 16 pressures. This year in 373 snaps, over double the snaps, he has 13 total pressures. He's not getting it done yet. Now, does that mean he won't? No. He could be saving it for the stretch run. Maybe he's still getting his body back ready from an injury. Like, he has been proven to be a good football player. The pride of Grand Valley State. That's where I went to college. So, obviously I'm excited. And I just want to talk good about Matthew Judon. All right? You've already made your moves. So, staying pat, being ready to compete, I think is the best move. Let me know what you think. Hit that comment below. Let me know if you felt like you needed to go out and get an edge rusher. Let me know if you wanted to go out and spend for a corner. Here's the deal. You're paying a lot of money to your quarterback. You're have some good young players that you're going to eventually have to pay money to. I don't think it makes sense to go out and spend big money on one of those positions. Keep your draft picks. Draft it. That's how you want to be. You don't want to pay draft capital for the right to pay somebody that's already being paid. See, I think that's the thing that people forget about the trade deadline. You are trading for someone. You're trading away draft capital because some people are like, what are you talking about? How is this guy only worth, how is Zadarius Smith only worth a 5th round pick, right? When he is a really good defensive end? Because he's worth a 5th round pick that you have to pay $7 million over the next year and a half. And that's not even a lot of money, right? But some of these people, it's even more. Some of these people, it's even more. Marshawn Lattimore, who the Commanders got from the Saints. By the way, that's good. Saints even getting worse, right? The Commanders, if they want to keep him, right, they gave up a third, a fourth, and a sixth. A third, a fourth, and a sixth for the right to pay him $18 million each of the next 2 years. $18 million next year and $18 million the year after that. None of it's guaranteed. But $18 million, and they're giving up draft picks to do that. Meanwhile, the Falcons, and I don't think it's a horrible decision in their position. They're ready to compete right now. But the Falcons are ready to compete without doing that. And I think that you don't have the ability to spend $18 million plus give up a bunch of draft picks. You just weren't in position. So keep your picks, sign some people in the offseason, and work from there. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.